Hello students, welcome to the Campus TV for Maths. Today we'll be talking about cuboids and its nets. Does any student know what type of shape a cuboid is? Let me give you a hint. It is a 3D shape with the same top and base. A cuboid is actually a rectangular prism. So students, do you know how many faces does a cuboid have? Each cuboid has 6 faces. Do you know the shape of the faces? The shape of each face is either a rectangle or a square. Now, students, let's take a look. Can you find out how many pairs of faces which are of the same shape and size in this example? I'll give you 10 seconds. A cuboid have a total of 3 pairs of faces which are of the same shape and size. So, after talking about cuboids, let's talk about the net. So, what is a net? A net is the shape that is formed when we unfold a 3D shape. Here's an example. How can we form a net though? We can form a net by cutting along the edges of the cuboid to get the net. Now, be very careful when you're cutting the edges to not cut through the middle or your whole net will fall apart. In order for the net of a cuboid to be correct, it has to have the following 3 characteristics. Number 1, it has to have 6 faces with each face in the shape of a rectangle or a square. Number 2, the 3 pairs of faces opposite of each other has to be the same shape and size. And lastly, the perpendicular lines connecting 2 shapes have to be the same length. Now, let's do an exercise. Students, can you find the 3 pairs of faces in this example? So, here is the first pair. Let's take a look at the second pair. Lastly, here's the third pair. So students, did you get all 3 pairs of faces correct? If you did, give yourself some applause. Let's take a look at another example. Let's see if you can find all 3 pairs of faces for this example. I will give you 10 seconds to try. So here's the first pair. Let's take a look at the second pair. Lastly, here's the third pair. So students, did you get all 3 pairs of faces correct? If you did, remember to give yourself some applause. Now, let's try to find out whether we can find out that the net of a cuboid or not. So students, is this the net of a cuboid or is it not a net of a cuboid? This is actually not a net of a cuboid. Do you know why? It is because there are no 3 pairs of faces which are the same shape and size in this example. How about this example? Yes, this is a net of a cuboid as it meets all 3 criteria of a net of a cuboid. How about this example? Students, I'll give you 10 seconds to think very clearly about it before telling me your answer. So this net is actually not a net of a cuboid. Do you know why? It is because the perpendicular lines are not the same length. Now, lastly, how about this example? I'll give you 10 seconds again to think about it. Yes, okay, so this is actually a net of a cuboid as it meets all 3 criteria of a net for a cuboid. So students, how many did you manage to get correct? So let's take a look at this cuboid net. it is missing a face. Can you help fill in the face to complete the net of the cuboid? Let's take a look at the few answers possible. You can form a net of a cuboid if you drew the missing face like this, or like this, or like this, or even like this. So, students, now it is your turn. So try to draw a net of a cuboid on your preview worksheet. Remember to pay attention to the 3 criteria needed to make a net of a cuboid correctly. Now, if you're interested in doing more activities or exercises or even games about cuboids and its nets, you can go to this website and take a look at its activities. So that's it for today's Campus TV. Thank you all for your attention, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.